So now we move to another factor, which is relative productivity. Okay, so the original equilibrium is here, where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. So, and then the equilibrium is achieved here, and then you can see that the exchange rate is equal to 20, and then the equilibrium quantity is equal to QRM. So it means that 1 ringgit Malaysia is equal to 20 baht. Okay, so now we are going to assume that the productivity in Thailand is higher than productivity in Malaysia. So what happened to the demand for ringgit Malaysia and the supply of ringgit Malaysia? Okay, so if we know that the productivity in Thailand is higher than productivity in Malaysia, so it means that you can see Thailand can produce goods at lower price and sell, of course it can sell at lower prices also. Okay, so when it can sell at lower prices, of course Malaysians will buy more Thai goods because Thai goods are cheaper. Okay, so when they prefer to buy more goods, more Thai goods, so they have to demand for Thai bahts. Okay, so in this case you don't have the demand curve for Thai baht, so you have to shift your supply curve of ringgit Malaysia. Okay, so because you want to get Thai baht, you need to supply your ringgit Malaysia. In this case, there's no Thai baht, there's no demand for Thai baht, so you have to shift your supply curve. Okay, and then not finished yet. At the same time, you when Thai people notice that their price or their goods are cheaper than Malaysian goods, so of course they do not want to buy more Malaysian goods, and they are going to prefer to buy their local goods, and therefore the demand for ringgit Malaysia is going to decrease. Okay, so you have to shift your demand curve for ringgit Malaysia. Okay, what you have to shift is actually you have to shift your demand curve from D0 to D1. This is because of what? Because the demand for ringgit Malaysia, Thai people do not want to buy more Malaysian goods because Malaysian goods are more expensive than Thai goods. So the demand for ringgit Malaysia will decrease, and then the demand curve will shift to the left from D0 to D1. And at the same time, you can see that supply curve of ringgit Malaysia will increase. This is because of what? Because Thai goods are cheap. Okay, are cheaper than Malaysian goods, and therefore Malaysians will prefer to buy Thai goods. Okay, so you can see that the exchange rate will drops from 20 to 10. So you can see that before the change, you can see that RM 1 ringgit is equal to 20 baht. Now 1 ringgit is equal to 10 baht. So it means that Malaysian ringgit depreciates. Okay, so Thai baht appreciates. Because of what? Because before this, 1 ringgit only we can have 20 baht. So it means that it is more baht that we can have. But now after we shift the curve, so you can see that 1 ringgit only we can get only 10 baht. So it means that the ringgit Malaysia depreciates and the Thai baht appreciates. Okay. Now let's say that productivity in Malaysia is higher than productivity in Thailand, and therefore Malaysian producers can produce a good at lower price, and then compared to Thailand. So it means that Malaysian's ringgit, the demand for Malaysian's ringgit will increase because Thai people will prefer to buy Malaysian goods because Malaysian goods are cheaper than Thai goods. So this means that the demand for ringgit Malaysia will increase. So it will cause the demand curve from D0, it will shift to D1. Okay. And then at the same time, since we know that the price of goods in Malaysia is lower than the price of goods in Thailand. Therefore, Malaysians prefer to buy local goods. They are going to buy less Thai goods. So it means that Malaysians will supply less ringgit Malaysia, will supply ringgit Malaysians less. Okay, so it will cause the supply curve to shift to the left. So it means that S0 it will shift to S1 RM. Okay, so it will shift to the left from S0 to S1. So you can see that the equilibrium change. So you can see the price, the exchange rate will increase from 20 to 30. This means that ringgit Malaysia will appreciate or will increase, because you can see that before this RM 1 ringgit is equal to 20 baht. Now when we supply 1 ringgit, and then we can get more Thai bahts. We can get 30 Thai bahts. So it means that the ringgit Malaysia appreciates and then the Thai baht depreciates. Okay. Now we move to another factor, which is relative interest rates. So the original equilibrium is achieved when quantity supplied 0 ringgit of ringgit Malaysia is equal to quantity demanded for ringgit Malaysia, and then the exchange rate is equal to 20, where 1 ringgit is equal to 20 baht. So the equilibrium quantity is equal to QRM. Okay, so now we are going to say that relative interest rates. So how relative interest rates can influence the exchange rate, this value. Okay, so suppose that the interest rate in Malaysia is higher than the interest rates in Thailand. So it means that investors from Thailand, they are more interested in investing in Malaysia. So they are going to demand for ringgit Malaysia. They are going to demand more ringgit Malaysias, and therefore the demand curve will shift from D0 to D1. Okay, so and then at the same time, Malaysian investors do not prefer to invest in Thailand. Because why? Because the interest rate in Malaysia is higher than the interest rates in Thailand. So why should they want to invest in Thailand if they know that the interest rate in Malaysia is higher? So of course if they invest in Malaysia, they will get more profits. Okay, so they are going to supply less ringgit Malaysias. Okay, they are going to supply ringgit Malaysias, less ringgit Malaysias, and therefore the supply curve of ringgit Malaysia will shift to the left. So it will cause the supply curve to shift to the left. So it will shift from S0 to S1. Okay, so the new equilibrium is achieved here. Okay, so you can see that the new equilibrium is achieved here, where you can see that our exchange rate will increase from 20 to 30. It means that the ringgit Malaysia appreciates. Okay, the ringgit Malaysia appreciates from 20 to 30. It means that, before this you need to have only 1 ringgit to get 20 baht. Now we have 1 ringgit also, but we can get more bahts. We can get 30 bahts. So it means that if the interest rate in Malaysia is higher, so the ringgit Malaysia, of course, it will appreciate. And then if the interest rate is in Thailand is higher than the interest rates in Malaysia, it means that the Thai baht will appreciate. Okay. Another factor that can influence the exchange rate is consumer preference. Okay, so how consumer preferences can influence the exchange rate? Okay, so suppose that Malaysians prefer to visit, okay, like to visit Thailand, or they like to buy Thai goods. So it means that the supply the supply of ringgit Malaysia will increase, because when you visit Thailand, you go to Thailand, of course you need to exchange your money first. Okay, you need to exchange your money, so you need to have ringgit Malaysias to get the Thai baht. So in this case, so if you want to go to Thailand, so it means that you need to supply ringgit Malaysias, and then you need to demand for Thai baht. Okay, so in this case, it means that our supply curve for ringgit Malaysias will increase. Okay, and thus the supply curve will shift to the right. Okay, so the supply curve will shift to the right from S0 to S1. So you can see that the ringgit Malaysias will depreciate. It will depreciate from 1 ringgit equal to 20 to 1 ringgit equal to 10. Okay, so the quantity of ringgit Malaysias will increase. So from Q0 it will increase to Q1. Okay, so it means that the number of quantity will increase. The quantity of ringgit Malaysias will increase because we supply more ringgit Malaysias to get Thai baht. So in this case, you can see that the equilibrium will move from this to this equilibrium. This is actually our new equilibrium. This is actually the original equilibrium. So before this, you can see that you have only 1 ringgit, you can get 20, but now you have 1 ringgit, you can get only 10 bahts. Okay, so it means that the Thai baht appreciates and then the ringgit Malaysia depreciates. Okay, now we change the label. So if we label RM, we place RM per baht on the y-axis, and then quantity of baht on the x-axis. So you can see that this is our supply of baht and this is our demand for baht. Okay, so this is the original equilibrium where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied, as supply intersects demand at the equilibrium price or the equilibrium exchange rate, of 0.05, and then you can see that quantity of baht is equal to Q0 baht. Okay, so if we say that Malaysians prefer to visit Thailand, or Malaysians prefer to buy Thai goods, so it means that of course the demand for Thai baht will increase. Just now we look at the ringgit Malaysia, so this one is actually we'll look at quantity of baht, so the demand and the supply of baht. Okay, before this we don't have the supply of baht and we don't have the demand for baht. Before this we have the supply of ringgit Malaysias and this is the demand for ringgit Malaysias. But in this case we try to change the label, so you can see that if Malaysians prefer to visit Thailand and Malaysians prefer to buy Thai goods, so it means that demand for Thai baht will increase. So increase from D0, it will increase to D1. So you can see that Thai baht will appreciate from 1 baht equal to 0.05 to 1 baht equal to 0.1. So quantity of baht will increase from Q0 to Q1. Okay, now we move to another factor, which is trade restrictions. So the original equilibrium is where quantity demanded is equal to quantity supplied. Okay, so the supply curve intersects the demand curve, and then the equilibrium exchange rate is equal to 20. So it means that 1 ringgit Malaysia is equal to 20 baht. Okay, so and then quantity of ringgit Malaysia is equal to Q0. Okay, so now if we say that Thailand imposes trade restriction on its imported goods, so it means that the demand for imported goods will be reduced, and therefore the demand for ringgit Malaysia will drop. So this will cause the demand curve to shift to the left. So the demand curve will shift from D to D1. Okay, so you can see that the new equilibrium is achieved here. Okay, where supply curve intersects the new demand curve. Okay, so the exchange rate, the new exchange rate will be equal to 1 ringgit is equal to 10 baht. Okay, so it means that our 1 ringgit is equal to 10 baht. So it means that the ringgit Malaysia depreciates. Okay, so the ringgit Malaysia depreciates, and then quantity of ringgit Malaysia will drop from Q0 to Q1. So in this case, you can see that after Thailand imposes strict restrictions, so you can see that the equilibrium will move from these equilibriums to these equilibriums. Okay, so you can see that our ringgit Malaysia will depreciate from 1 ringgit equal to 20 to 1 ringgit equal to 10 baht. Okay, so the quantity will drop from Q0 to. Now we move to the exercise. Draw a graph with the exchange rate euro per US dollar on the y-axis and the quantity of US dollars on the y-axis. Based on the graph, explain how each of the factors below influences the foreign exchange rate under a flexible exchange rate system. A. The United States have many foreign workers from Europe. B. The United States increases its money supply. C. The price of exports in the United States fall while the quantity demanded of exports remains unchanged.